Our next speaker, ladies, Madiha Ali of Pakistani descent left her home country in 2013 to seek refuge in Indonesia for 5 years with her family due to the daily genocide of her community members before making the move to New Zealand in late 2018. She's not been here very long, and I'm very excited to bring her to the stage now. Madiha is now studying as an undergraduate, doing a double major in law and pol sci. I can't believe she's actually here with time, although it's the beginning of the year, so this is when you have the best amount of time. We're unlikely to see her at any public event again for the entire uni year. So please, a warm Wahine Festival. Women's Fund, welcome.
In one instant, I was bundled up in my favorite blanket in the house I had grown up in. And in the next instant, I was running through the jungles in the middle of the night, running towards a future that promised nothing but uncertainty. And just like that, we became refugees. When it happened, how it happened, and why it happened is a story I choose not to share today. Rather, I want to talk about the global refugee crisis in general. I used to get frustrated whenever I witnessed a backlash towards refugees. Not anymore. Now I understand the fact that it's not always intentional, but of course there are exceptions. I understand that it's people's lack of awareness that often leads them to making comments that are not always pleasant. But that's why I'm here. I'm here because I believe that stories are powerful. Stories have the power to change what facts and figures alone cannot. But despite, I'll start with some facts and figures. There are 70.8 million people who've been forcibly displaced worldwide because of persecution, conflict, violence, or human rights violation, as per United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. I want to emphasize, and at the same time, compare the two words that changes the whole conversation about refugees. The first word is forced, and the second word is choice. Often refugees are associated with the second word, which is very unfortunate, considering the torment they have to go through. However, contrary to common perception, it is the first word that explains who can be called a refugee. Refugees are not people who come to another country for economic gain or for a better lifestyle. We migrate from the places we cherish and are torn from the families we love because we have to. We have lived in and escaped from danger and fear, and now seek what many would consider a normal life in a peaceful country. Now I wonder if that is too much to ask for. Is dreaming of a life where you don't have to constantly fear your life and the life of your loved ones too much to ask for? Or is it merely a basic human right? It is a question we need to ask ourselves. Isn't safety the most underlying human need? When people stop feeling a sense of safety and security, they tend to find ways to survive. Now the question is, even if the quest for survival is one of the most gut-wrenching, the answer is yes. However, the irony is that a lot of the times refugees are not even aware of the torment and misery the journey to the survival entails. At least we did not. Long after our journey had come to an end, my father told me that if I had known we would have to go through what we did, I would have never in my life allowed my family to go through it. And it was only later that I thought to myself, did we even have a choice? What really surprises me is how we've been addressing the global refugee crisis. Refugee crisis is not a new phenomenon. It has been around for as long as I can remember. War and peace have been part of this universe since its creation. If we turn the pages of history, we will discover that people have been moving around in the search of a safe home for ages. Let's not even go that far. If each of us dig deeper into the history of our very own ancestors, we will be astounded to discover that our own ancestors migrated somewhere at some point in their lives. Now the question is, was it a choice? Or was it a lack of choice? I will tell you why. For refugees, it is always the later. It is also ironic how we live and behave as if we can predict the future, when in reality, there's nothing more unpredictable in the world than life itself. We are living in a world that is constantly changing and evolving. And when I say that the world is a very unpredictable place to live, I mean to say that anytime, anyone can become a refugee. There are two reasons why I strongly advocate for refugee rights. First, very clearly, because I have been a refugee myself. I have been on the other end. Believe me, it is not a nice place to be. It is a place that glistens with hopelessness and helplessness. A place where words like laughter, sunshine, and hope are merely words that hold no meaning. A place that abducts innocence and forces children into adulthood. This place tests every fragment of one's strength until people do not even recognize themselves. I have been there. It was a place where I had to constantly make sure that the hope did not die. A place where I felt less of a human being time and time again. A place where I constantly felt helpless. And helplessness is the last thing any human being ever wants to feel. I know it. And because I know it, it becomes so much more important for me to make use of my privileges and lend my voice to all the voiceless refugees across the world who are waiting with a hope in their heart for a better future, who are dreaming of a free life one day, who are wanting for someone to make a change. I want to be that someone. I want to make that change, one step at a time. However, the second more important reason is because so many people across the world are not even aware of the violation of refugee rights. A surprisingly large number of people do not have an idea of the refugee crisis. And that is where the problem lies. For 5 years, I was deprived of my most basic human right. The right to get education. And it wasn't only me. According to UNHCR, of 7.1 million refugee kids, 3.7 million do not go to schools. 3.7 million. It is not a small number. It's quite close to the entire New Zealand population. However, not many people are aware of these. Media plays a significant role in this. People are likely to believe what the news feeds to them. Unfortunately, a large section of media focuses on the negative news, and it's no exception when it comes to refugees. For years, refugees have been portrayed as uneducated, desperate, and dependent group of people. Rarely we see any media coverage on all the amazing things refugees are doing around the world. And that's why I'm here. In the last remaining minutes, I would like to take you all on a journey. The journey of a group of people who, despite all odds, changed the whole meaning of determination and courage. In August of 2014, a group of people sat together, a group of refugees sat together and discussed the possibility of providing education to refugee kids. My father was a prominent member of that group. He witnessed how his own children were losing a very important part of their lives that could have been spent getting education. He witnessed how the lack of activity and purpose was started to take a toll on his own 4 kids. Speaking for myself, I gained weight due to lack of activity, and the house just suffocated me. I felt utterly lost. So my father talked to a few of his friends, and together they gathered other members of the community and discussed their motives. The community was very supportive. An Australian couple agreed to pay the rent of the place where refugees were to be educated. The community contributed as much as they could, despite the fact that every single one of them were financially unstable. They were ready to contribute as much to afford the basic necessities like a carpet, whiteboard, some pens and pencils. After 7 months of hopelessness, desperation, and vulnerability, one day my father came home and asked me if we were interested, me and my sister, if we were interested in becoming teachers. I instantly said yes. I did not even think for a moment. Anything that would set me free from the confinements of the house was a blessing. But although I said yes, I was not sure if that was a possibility. It was a lot of risk. We as refugees were not allowed to get education or work, yet alone establish a learning center. But eventually, it did. Refugee Learning Center, RLC, was established. It started off with only 18 students, and now it is educating over 300 refugees, with over 30 volunteers teaching and managing. My sister and I were one of the volunteer teachers, while my father remained to be the principal. And my 2 younger brothers, they were just another addition to the number of refugees getting education. This was my class. You see, refugees can contribute to the society. There are countless other amazing work refugees are doing around the world that are not highlighted. But that doesn't mean the lack of it. Let's get rid of the stigma associated with refugees. We are not a burden. We are not dangerous or terrorists. are just as normal as every one of you sitting here today. The only difference is that we've not been fortunate enough to be born in a peaceful country. We, just like anyone else, seek love, respect, and acceptance. We are doctors, teachers, painters, poets. We are sisters, mothers, wives, daughters. We have dreams and aspirations. We love food and music, just like all of you sitting here today. Above everything else, we are strong, we are courageous, we are unbreakable. I also want to emphasize that although there may have been times throughout our difficult quest when we may have felt vulnerable, neglected, or unwelcomed, when we may have watched our dreams slipping out of reach, we are nevertheless not looking for pity. Don't feel sorry for refugees. Believe in them. Believe that they're just as normal as everyone else. Believe that if given the opportunity, they can reach the greatest heights of success. Believe that they're talented, skillful, intelligent. The world needs to understand that the word refugee is just a label, and it does not define one as a person. And we also need to understand that the atrocities they've experienced do not define them. In contrast, these people are the epitome of hope, determination, and resilience, because despite what they go through, they still manage to find hope in the most hopeless of situations. They still manage to be grateful for the smallest of blessings, and they never give up the struggle to a better life. If given the opportunity, refugees can make some amazing contribution to the world. So, let's make this world a better place. A place where labels do not exist and where labels do not define. A place where we include, not exclude. A place where race, religion, ethnicity, title, status do not matter. A place where people from all walks of life feel loved and accepted. Because we never know what someone is going through. Today, I encourage you to make your contribution to make this happen. Let's play our parts in making this world a place filled with love and kindness. It can be as small as smiling towards a stranger. I will end with a quote from Bob Carey. Unexpected kindness is the most powerful, least costly, and most underrated agent of human change. So let's change the world by simple acts of kindness. Kia ora.